Sketch Voice English. Real English for real situations.
I couldn't make friends because every conversation felt awkward and forced. My English was correct, but something was off. By the end of this video, you'll learn the exact phrases that help you connect with people naturally. And the surprise? You don't need more English. You need the right English. I'm Young-hee. Once I learned everyday phrases, everything changed. Conversations flowed. Friendships formed. This episode covers morning greetings, small talk, making plans, ordering food, texting, weekend activities, and handling problems. Over 100 practical phrases you'll actually use every single day. When someone says, "Want to grab lunch?" Don't overthink it. Just say, "Sounds good." 2 words. Perfect response. That's natural English. This is how to speak English like a real person and connect with people effortlessly. Let's begin. Today, I'm going to tell you about the most important English lesson I ever learned. It's not about grammar. It's not about vocabulary lists. It's not about complex sentence structures. It's about the simple, everyday English sentences that native speakers actually use. The sentences that changed my entire experience living in America. This is the story of how I discovered that textbook English and real English are completely different. How I learned that speaking naturally is more important than speaking perfectly. How I went from sounding like a robot to sounding like a real person. And most importantly, I'm going to share with you the exact sentences I use every single day. The sentences that will make your English sound natural and help you feel confident in everyday situations. I studied English for 10 years before coming to America. 10 years. In Korea, I learned grammar rules, vocabulary lists, reading comprehension, writing essays. I took tests. I got good grades. I thought my English was quite good. I could write academic essays. I could read complex texts. I could understand lectures. But when I arrived in America and tried to have normal, everyday conversations, I struggled. Not because I didn't know enough English, but because I was using the wrong kind of English. Let me give you an example. On my 3rd day in America, I needed to use the bathroom while I was in the library. A library is a place with many books where students go to study. I saw a woman who worked there, a librarian. I walked up to her desk and said, very politely, "Excuse me, madam, may I inquire about the location of the restroom facility?" The woman looked at me with a confused expression. She blinked. She tilted her head slightly. Then she said slowly, "I'm sorry. What?" I repeated myself, thinking maybe I hadn't spoken clearly enough. "May I inquire about the location of the restroom facility?" Again, she looked confused. Finally, she said, "Oh, you need the bathroom. It's right over there." She pointed to a door about 20 feet away. I thanked her and walked to the bathroom, feeling embarrassed. Why didn't she understand me? I had used perfect English, perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary. I had been so polite, so formal, so correct. But that was exactly the problem. I was too correct, too formal, too much like a textbook. Later that day, I was at the campus coffee shop. The coffee shop is a small cafe where students buy coffee and snacks. I waited in line. A line is when people stand one behind another, waiting for their turn. When it was my turn to order, I approached the counter. The counter is the long desk where you order and pay. The barista, the person who makes coffee, smiled and said, "Hey, what can I get for you?" I responded, "Good afternoon. I would like to request 1 medium-sized coffee with cream and sugar, if you please." The barista's smile became a little confused. He said, okay. So, a medium coffee with cream and sugar? I nodded. Yes, that would be correct. He typed something into the computer and said, Cool, that'll be $3.50. I handed him $5 and said, Please keep the change as gratuity. He looked even more confused, but said, Oh, thanks. As I waited for my coffee, I noticed other students ordering. They were so casual, so relaxed. One girl walked up and said, Hey, can I get a large iced latte? That's it. Simple. Direct. Another guy said, I'll have a cappuccino, thanks. Quick and easy. Nobody was saying, I would like to request, or, if you please. They were just saying what they wanted in simple, natural sentences. I started to realize something was wrong with my English. Not wrong in the sense of incorrect. My grammar was fine. My vocabulary was advanced. But wrong in the sense of unnatural. I didn't sound like a real person. I sounded like a textbook. I sounded formal and stiff when everyone around me was casual and relaxed. That evening, I talked to my roommate Ashley about this. Ashley was my American roommate in the dorm. A roommate is a person you share a room with. We lived together in a small room with 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 chairs. She was very friendly and patient with me. Ashley, I said, I think there is something wrong with my English. She looked up from her laptop. What do you mean? Your English is great. I shook my head. Today at the library, I asked where the bathroom was, and the woman didn't understand me at first. And at the coffee shop, the barista looked confused when I ordered. But I used correct English. I don't understand why. Ashley smiled kindly. Can you tell me exactly what you said? I repeated my library question. May I inquire about the location of the restroom facility? Ashley started laughing, then quickly covered her mouth. Sorry. I'm not laughing at you, it's just, that's very formal. Like, extremely formal. Nobody talks like that in everyday situations. I felt confused. But that's how I learned English. That's correct English. Ashley nodded. Yes, it's correct. But it's not natural. It's the kind of English you might use in a very formal business setting or in formal writing. But for everyday situations, we use much simpler language. You could just say, Where's the bathroom? That's it. Simple and clear. I thought about this. Where's the bathroom? That seemed so simple, so short. In my English textbooks, we always learned to use complete sentences with proper grammar. Where's the bathroom? Would be the textbook version. But Ashley was saying native speakers make it even shorter. Where's the bathroom? The contraction, where's, instead of where is. Much more casual. What about at the coffee shop? I asked. How should I have ordered? Ashley thought for a moment. Just say, Can I get a medium coffee with cream and sugar? Or even simpler, I'll have a medium coffee with cream and sugar, please. That's natural. That's what everyone says. I felt like I was discovering a secret, a hidden truth about English that nobody had taught me in school. The English that native speakers actually use every day is different from the English in textbooks. It's simpler, more direct, more casual. It uses contractions. It uses short phrases. It focuses on communication, not perfection. So I've been speaking English wrong this whole time? I asked Ashley. She shook her head firmly. No, not wrong. Just too formal for everyday situations. You need to learn the difference between formal English and casual English. Formal English is for essays, presentations, business meetings, talking to professors sometimes. Casual English is for friends, daily life, normal conversations, ordering food, asking for help. This conversation changed everything for me. I realized I needed to learn a completely different kind of English. Not academic English, not formal English, but everyday, casual, natural English. The kind of English that people actually use when they're just living their lives. Getting coffee, saying hello to neighbors, making plans with friends, asking for directions. All the small conversations that happen every single day. Over the next few months, I paid close attention to how native speakers talked. I listened carefully to the sentences they used. I wrote them down in a notebook. I practiced them. I started using them myself. And slowly, my English started to sound more natural. People didn't give me confused looks anymore. Conversations flowed more easily. I felt more comfortable, more confident, more like I belonged. Before I tell you all the daily sentences I learned, let me teach you some important vocabulary. These are words about language and communication that will help you understand this episode. Listen carefully. Casual. Casual means relaxed, informal, not formal. Casual English is the everyday language people use in normal situations. When you talk to friends, you use casual language. When you order food, you use casual language. Casual is the opposite of formal. Casual. Formal. Formal means official, proper, following strict rules. Formal English is used in professional situations, academic writing, important meetings. When you write an essay, you use formal language. When you give a presentation, you use formal language. Formal is the opposite of casual. Formal. Natural. Natural means normal, how things really are, not forced or artificial. Natural English is how native speakers really talk. It flows easily. It sounds comfortable. It doesn't sound like a textbook or a robot. Natural. Native speaker. A native speaker is someone who learned a language as their first language from childhood. Native speakers speak the language naturally without thinking about grammar rules. They use casual phrases and expressions automatically. Native speaker. Daily life. Daily life means everyday life, the normal activities you do every day. Getting up, eating breakfast, going to class or work, talking to people, shopping, cooking. These are daily life activities. Daily life. Greeting. A greeting is what you say when you meet someone. Hello. Hi. Good morning are all greetings. Greetings are how you start conversations. The greeting you choose depends on the situation and relationship. Greeting. Small talk. Small talk is casual conversation about unimportant topics. Talking about the weather, asking, "How are you?" Discussing weekend plans. Small talk is how people connect and be friendly. It's not deep conversation, just friendly chat. Small talk. Conversation. A conversation is when two or more people talk to each other, exchanging ideas and information. Conversations can be casual or formal, short or long. Good conversation skills are important for daily life. Conversation. Phrase. A phrase is a group of words that go together and have a meaning. How are you? Is a phrase. Thank you so much is a phrase. Learning phrases is often more useful than learning individual words. Phrase. Expression. An expression is a way of saying something, often a common phrase that people use frequently. No problem. Sounds good. See you later are all expressions. Native speakers use expressions constantly in daily conversation. Expression. Polite. Polite means showing good manners, being respectful and courteous. Polite language shows respect for other people. Saying please and thank you is polite. Being rude is the opposite of being polite. Polite. Friendly. Friendly means kind, warm, nice to others. Friendly language makes people feel comfortable. Smiling and using a warm tone makes you sound friendly. Being friendly helps you make friends and have good relationships. Friendly. Appropriate. Appropriate means suitable for the situation, right for the context. The same English can be appropriate in one situation and inappropriate in another. You need to choose language that's appropriate for who you're talking to and where you are. Appropriate. Situation. A situation is a specific circumstance or context. Talking to a professor is one situation. Talking to a friend is a different situation. You adjust your English based on the situation. Situation. Context. Context is the circumstances or setting around something. Context includes who you're talking to, where you are, what the relationship is, what the purpose is. Understanding context helps you choose the right English to use. Context. Slang. Slang is very informal language, often used by young people or specific groups. Slang changes quickly and might not be understood by everyone. Cool. Gonna. Wanna are examples of slang or casual speech. Slang. Idiom. An idiom is a phrase where the meaning is different from the literal words. Break a leg means good luck, not actually break your leg. Idioms are common in casual English. Native speakers use idioms naturally. Idiom. Colloquial. Colloquial means conversational, used in everyday speech. Colloquial language is informal and casual. It's how people really talk, not how they write in formal situations. Colloquial is similar to casual. Colloquial. Everyday. Everyday means ordinary, normal, happening daily. Everyday English is the language you use in your normal daily life. Everyday phrases are the ones you use most often. Everyday. Common. Common means usual, frequent, happening often. Common phrases are the ones native speakers say all the time. Learning common expressions is very useful because you'll hear them constantly. Common. Awkward. Awkward means uncomfortable, embarrassing, not smooth. When you use the wrong level of formality, it feels awkward. When you don't know what to say, you feel awkward. We want to avoid awkward situations by using natural English. Awkward. Fluent. Fluent means able to speak smoothly and easily without much hesitation. Fluent speakers don't struggle to find words. They communicate naturally. Using everyday sentences helps you become more fluent. Fluent. Comfortable. Comfortable means feeling at ease, not stressed or worried. When you know the right phrases to use, you feel comfortable in conversations. Comfort comes with practice and familiarity. Comfortable. Confident. Confident means sure of yourself, believing in your abilities. When you know what to say in different situations, you feel confident speaking English. Confidence helps you communicate better. Confident. Relaxed. Relaxed means calm, not tense or worried. Native speakers sound relaxed when they talk because they're using their natural language. When you use natural phrases, you sound more relaxed too. Relaxed. These 24 words are your foundation for understanding natural, everyday English. Now let me continue the story of how I learned to speak naturally. After my conversation with Ashley, I decided to completely change my approach to English. Instead of trying to use the most correct, most formal, most impressive English, I would focus on using the simplest, most natural, most common phrases. I would listen carefully to how native speakers really talked and copy them. The next morning, I woke up determined to practice. Ashley was already awake, getting dressed for class. In my textbook English, I might have said, "Good morning, Ashley. I trust you slept well." But I remembered what she taught me. Keep it simple. Keep it natural. So instead I said, "Morning. How'd you sleep?" Ashley smiled. "Good. You?" Just one word. Good. Not, "I slept well. Thank you for inquiring." Just, "Good." And then, "You?" Not, "And how did you sleep?" Just, "You?" This was the level of casual I needed to learn. "Good," I replied, copying her style. It felt strange. So short. So simple. But Ashley seemed pleased. "Nice. You're learning," she said with a wink. A wink is when you close one eye briefly as a friendly gesture. As I got ready for the day, I paid attention to everything Ashley said. When she couldn't find her book, she didn't say, "I am unable to locate my textbook." She said, "Where's my book?" When she was running late, she didn't say, "I must depart immediately or I shall be tardy." She said, "I gotta go or I'll be late." Gotta is a casual way of saying got to or have to. I started writing down these phrases in my notebook. I created categories: morning phrases, greeting phrases, food phrases, school phrases. Every time I heard a useful everyday sentence, I wrote it down. I practiced saying them out loud when I was alone. I tried using them in real situations. The first few days were difficult. I felt like I was speaking incorrect English. My brain kept wanting to use formal, complete sentences, but I forced myself to keep it simple and casual. When someone asked, "How are you?" I stopped myself from saying, "I am quite well, thank you for asking," and instead just said, "Good, you?" Or "Pretty good, how about you?" When I wanted to ask someone to repeat something, I stopped saying, "I beg your pardon, but would you mind repeating that?" Instead, I said, "Sorry, what was that?" Or, "Could you say that again?" Much simpler, much more natural. When I wanted to express agreement, I stopped saying, "Yes, I concur with your assessment," and started saying, "Yeah, I agree," or "Totally," or "For sure." These short, casual responses felt strange at first, but I noticed that this was how everyone around me was talking. One day in my English literature class, we were discussing a novel. The professor asked what we thought about a particular character. In the past, I might have raised my hand and said, "I believe the character demonstrates considerable moral complexity, and his actions can be interpreted in various ways depending on one's ethical framework." But this time, I tried to be more natural. I raised my hand and said, "I think the character is really complicated. You can see his actions as either good or bad, depending on how you look at it." Same meaning. Much simpler language. More natural delivery. The professor nodded approvingly. "Exactly. Good observation, Young Hee." Another student agreed with me, saying, "Yeah, I thought the same thing." Not, "Yes, I concur with Young Hee's analysis." Just, "Yeah, I thought the same thing." After class, that student, a girl named Emma, came up to me. "Hey, I liked what you said about the character. Want to grab coffee and talk about the book?" She didn't say, "Would you care to accompany me to a coffee establishment to continue our literary discussion?" She said, "Want to grab coffee and talk about the book?" I responded naturally, the way I'd been practicing. "Sure, sounds good." Not, "Yes, that would be agreeable. I accept your invitation." Just, "Sure, sounds good." Emma smiled. "Cool, let's go." This moment felt like a breakthrough. A breakthrough is when you suddenly understand something or succeed at something you've been working on. I was having a natural conversation, using simple, everyday English. And it was working. Emma didn't think my English was weird. She wasn't confused. We were just two students making plans, communicating naturally. At the coffee shop, I ordered differently than I had before. When the barista asked what I wanted, I didn't say, "I would like to request a medium coffee with cream and sugar." I said, "Can I get a medium coffee with cream and sugar?" The barista immediately said, "Sure thing," and made my drink. No confusion, no awkward looks, just normal, smooth communication. Emma and I sat down and talked about class. She used so many casual phrases. The reading last night was kind of long. The professor's pretty interesting, though. Did you understand that part about the symbolism? Every sentence was natural and relaxed. I tried to match her energy and style. When I didn't understand something she said, I didn't say, "I apologize," but I failed to comprehend your meaning. I said, "Sorry, I'm not sure I got that." She explained it a different way, and I said, "Oh, got it. Thanks." The conversation flowed naturally. I was learning that real English is all about this flow, this back and forth, this natural rhythm. As weeks went by, I collected more and more everyday phrases. My notebook filled up with simple, useful sentences. I organized them by situation. What to say when you wake up. What to say when greeting people. What to say when ordering food. What to say when making plans. What to say when asking for help. What to say when ending conversations. I realized that native speakers use the same phrases over and over. They're not constantly creating new, unique sentences. They have a collection of common phrases that they use in appropriate situations. Once I learned these common phrases, my English started to sound much more natural. I sounded less like a textbook and more like a real person. Ashley noticed the change too. One evening, about 2 months after our initial conversation, she said, "You know, your English has gotten so much more natural. You sound way more comfortable now." I felt proud. Proud means feeling satisfied and pleased with your achievement. I had worked hard to learn this new style of English, and it was paying off. Paying off means producing good results. But I still had so much to learn. There were so many situations I encountered every day, and I wanted to know the natural phrases for all of them. How to politely decline an invitation, how to suggest meeting up, how to express that you're tired, how to complain about something without being rude, how to make small talk about the weather, how to end a conversation smoothly. Every situation had its own set of common phrases, and learning these phrases was like unlocking a new level of English. Each phrase I learned gave me more confidence. Each natural sentence I used made me feel more connected to the English-speaking world around me. The difference between my first week in America and now was dramatic. In my first week, every interaction felt difficult and awkward. I was constantly worried about using correct grammar and impressive vocabulary. Now, interactions felt easy and natural. I wasn't worried about being impressive. I was focused on being clear and communicating effectively. This is what I want to share with you in this episode. The everyday English sentences that will help you sound natural. The phrases that native speakers actually use. The simple, common expressions that will make your daily life in English so much easier. You don't need complicated vocabulary. You don't need perfect grammar for casual situations. You need natural, everyday phrases. Over the rest of this episode, I'm going to teach you the sentences I use every single day. We'll go through different situations, morning routines, greetings and small talk, on campus or at work, ordering food and shopping, making plans with friends, dealing with problems, evening conversations, all the situations you encounter in daily life. For each situation, I'll teach you the natural phrases native speakers actually use. I'll show you the difference between textbook English and real English. I'll give you examples of how to use these phrases. And I'll share stories of how using these phrases changed my experience living in America. You'll learn that real English is simpler than you think. You'll discover that being natural is more important than being perfect. You'll gain confidence in everyday situations, and you'll start to feel more comfortable and connected in English-speaking environments. These sentences changed my life. They transformed me from someone who spoke English like a textbook to someone who speaks English naturally. They helped me make friends. They made daily tasks easier. They gave me confidence. And they helped me finally feel like I belonged in this English-speaking world. So get comfortable, listen carefully, and get ready to learn the English that people actually use every single day. The English that will make you sound natural. The English that will make communication easier. The English that will change your experience, just like it changed mine. In the next part, we'll start with morning routines and greetings. The very first English you use when you wake up and start your day. The phrases that help you connect with roommates, neighbors, classmates. The small talk that makes you feel like part of the community. All the simple, natural sentences that begin your day smoothly. But before we continue, I want you to remember something important. Using simple, casual English doesn't mean your English is bad. It means your English is appropriate for the situation. The goal is not to always use the most formal, most complex English. The goal is to use the right English for the right situation. And for most of daily life, that means simple, natural, casual English. Don't be afraid to keep it simple. Don't worry that you sound less educated or less intelligent when you use casual phrases. Native speakers use these same simple phrases. That's how real English works. Simple is good. Natural is good. Clear communication is the goal. Now, let's learn the English sentences you'll use every single day. The sentences that will make your English sound natural. The sentences that will make daily life easier. The sentences that work. Let's begin with the morning and the simple phrases that start every day. When you first wake up in the morning, you probably talk to yourself a little, or talk to your roommate or family. In textbook English, you might learn to say things like, "I must arise from my slumber," or, "It is time to commence my daily routine." But nobody talks like that. Nobody. Here's what native speakers actually say when they wake up. Listen carefully, and repeat these in your mind or out loud if you'd like. Time to get up. That's it. Simple. Direct. Time to get up. Not, "It is time for me to get up." Just, "Time to get up." You can also say "time to wake up," or just, "Gotta get up." Remember, gotta is casual for got to or have to. When you're still sleepy and don't want to get up, you don't say, "I am experiencing continued fatigue." You say, "I'm still sleepy," or "I'm still tired." Native speakers also say, "I'm so tired," or "I don't want to get up." If you want to sleep a little longer, you don't say, "I would like to remain in bed for an additional 5 minutes." You say, Just 5 more minutes. That's the phrase. Just 5 more minutes. Sometimes people say, 5 more minutes, please, or just 5 minutes. When you finally drag yourself out of bed and you need coffee or tea to wake up, you don't say, I require caffeine to become alert. You say, I need coffee. Simple, direct, clear. I need coffee, or I really need coffee, or coffee. Now, native speakers, especially before coffee, speak in very simple sentences. Now let's talk about greetings. This is one of the most important areas because greetings happen all day long. Every time you see someone, you greet them. And the greetings you learned in textbooks are often too formal for everyday situations. In textbooks, you learn, good morning, how do you do? But native speakers almost never say, how do you do? That's extremely formal and old-fashioned. It sounds like you're from a different century. Here's what native speakers actually say. Morning. Not even, good morning, just morning. This is very common, especially between people who see each other regularly. Your roommate, your coworkers, your classmates. Just morning. You can also say good morning, but it's more common to shorten it to morning in casual situations. Save good morning for slightly more formal situations, like greeting a professor or your boss. After morning, you usually add a question to show you care about the person. Here are the most common ones. How's it going? This is probably the most common casual greeting question. Morning, how's it going? Native speakers say this constantly. The answer is usually just, good you, or pretty good, or not bad. What's up? This is very casual, usually used with friends or people your age. Hey, what's up? The answer can be, not much you, or just, hey. You don't need to actually tell them what's happening in your life. What's up? Is just a greeting, not a real question. How are you? This is the standard greeting question, less casual than what's up, but less formal than textbook English. Hi, how are you? The answer is usually, good you? Or, I'm good, how are you? Notice native speakers often just say, good, not I'm good. The I'm is understood. How are you doing? This is similar to, how are you? But slightly warmer and more friendly. Hey, how are you doing? Answer, doing well you? Or, good thanks. Let me show you the contrast. Textbook English versus real English. Textbook. Good morning. How do you do? I trust you are well today. Real. Morning. How's it going? Textbook. Hello. I am pleased to see you. How is your day progressing? Real. Hey, what's up? Textbook. Good afternoon. I hope you are having a pleasant day. Real. Hi, how are you? Do you see the difference? Real English is so much shorter, so much simpler, so much more direct. This doesn't mean it's less polite. It's just casual instead of formal. And casual is appropriate for most daily situations. When someone greets you and asks how you are, you don't need to give a detailed report on your life. In fact, that would be strange. The greeting question is usually not a real question. It's a social ritual. A ritual is something people do as part of social custom, not because they literally want detailed information. So when someone says, how are you? You respond quickly and simply. Here are the most common responses. Good. You? This is probably the most common. Short, simple, friendly. Then you turn the question back to them by saying, you? Pretty good. How about you? Pretty good means fairly good, reasonably good. How about you? Is another way to ask the same question back. I'm good, thanks. You? Adding thanks makes it slightly more polite but still casual. Not bad. How are you? Not bad is a common way to say you're okay. It's slightly less positive than good, but still means you're fine. Can't complain. This is a friendly, positive response. It means everything is okay. You have nothing to complain about. Same old, same old. This means nothing new. Everything is the same as usual. It's a casual, relaxed response. If you're not doing well, you can say, I've been better, or not great, honestly, or it's been a rough day. But usually for casual greetings, people give positive or neutral responses. You save the honest, detailed answers for close friends in deeper conversations. One more important thing about greetings. When you're greeting multiple people, or when you're busy and just passing by, you can make the greeting even shorter. Just, hey, or hi, or morning, without any follow-up question. This is completely normal and polite for quick interactions. Imagine you're walking across campus and you see a classmate you recognize but don't know well. You make eye contact. You both say, hey, and keep walking. That's enough. That's a complete interaction. You don't need to stop and have a conversation every time you see someone you know. Or imagine you're entering a classroom and the professor is already there. You can just say, morning, as you walk to your seat. The professor might say, morning back. That's it. Simple, polite, appropriate. Now let's talk about small talk. Small talk is short, casual conversation about unimportant topics. It's how people connect in a friendly way, without having deep conversations. Small talk is essential in English-speaking cultures. It makes social interactions smooth and friendly. The most common small talk topic is the weather. In English-speaking countries, people talk about the weather constantly. It's a safe, neutral topic that everyone can discuss. Here are common weather small talk phrases. Nice day, isn't it? This is when the weather is good. Nice day, isn't it? The isn't it at the end is called a tag question. It invites the other person to agree. Beautiful weather today. A simple, positive comment about good weather. It's really coming down out there. This means it's raining hard. Coming down refers to rain falling. Looks like it's going to rain. When the sky is dark and cloudy. It's so hot today. Or it's freezing. Comments about temperature. At least it's not raining. This is what you say when the weather isn't great but could be worse. The other person usually agrees with whatever you said about the weather. Yeah, it's beautiful. Or, I know, so hot. Or, yeah, hopefully it clears up. Weather small talk is not about having an interesting conversation about meteorology. It's about making a friendly connection. Other common small talk topics include, did you see the game last night? If there was a big sports game. Any plans for the weekend? Asking about weekend plans is very common, especially on Thursdays and Fridays. How's class going? Or, how's work? General questions about school or work. Have you been here before? If you're at a restaurant or new place. Is this seat taken? When you want to sit down somewhere. For small talk, you don't need to be clever or interesting. You just need to be friendly and show that you acknowledge the other person. Small talk is social glue. Glue is what holds things together. Social glue means it holds social relationships together. Let me share another story. About 2 months after I started learning casual English, I was waiting for class to start. I arrived early, and there was only one other student in the classroom, a guy named Mike. In the past, I might have just sat silently, worried about what to say, but I decided to try some small talk. "Morning," I said as I sat down. Mike looked up and said, "Hey." I continued, using a phrase I had learned. "Did you finish the reading for today?" This is perfect small talk. Not too personal, related to class, easy to answer. Mike made a face and said, "Barely. It was so long." I laughed and said, "I know. Took me forever." See how simple this is? Natural conversation about a shared experience. Mike continued, "I think there's a quiz today, too." I responded, "Oh no, really? I didn't know." This small conversation made me feel connected to Mike. We weren't friends, but we were friendly classmates who could chat before class. This is what everyday English does. It creates these small connections that make you feel like part of a community. Throughout the morning, I used simple, natural phrases I had learned. When the professor started class, she asked a question, and I didn't understand one word she used. Instead of sitting silently confused, I raised my hand and said, "Sorry, what does that word mean?" The professor explained it, and I said, "Oh, got it. Thanks." "Got it" is such a useful phrase. It means you understand. "I got it," or just "got it." Much simpler than "I comprehend your meaning now." Native speakers say "got it," or "I see," or "oh, okay," when they understand something. After class, I was hungry. I went to the dining hall, the place on campus where students eat meals. The dining hall had different food stations. I went to the sandwich station. The person making sandwiches asked, "What can I get for you?" I had learned to keep my food orders simple. "Can I get a turkey sandwich?" I said. Notice the structure. Can I get? This is how native speakers order food, not "I would like to request," or "May I have the privilege of purchasing?" Just "Can I get?" or "I'll have," or "I'll take." The sandwich maker said, "Sure, what do you want on it?" This means what toppings or ingredients. I said, "Lettuce, tomato, and mayo, please." Mayo is short for mayonnaise. Native speakers often shorten words in casual speech. Mayo, not mayonnaise. "You got it," the sandwich maker said. "You got it" means, "Sure, I'll do that." It's a friendly way to confirm someone's request. She made my sandwich and handed it to me. I said, "Thanks so much." She said, "No problem." No problem is one of the most common phrases in English. It means "you're welcome," but it's more casual and friendly. When someone thanks you, you can respond with "no problem," "no worries," "sure thing," "anytime," or "you're welcome." Native speakers use these responses interchangeably. As I ate lunch, I thought about how different my English sounded now compared to my first week in America. I was using the same simple phrases that native speakers used. My sentences were short and natural. I didn't worry about using impressive vocabulary. I just communicated clearly and effectively. This is the power of learning everyday English sentences. These sentences are the foundation of daily life. They're what you actually use, again and again, every single day. When you know these sentences, you feel prepared, you feel confident, you know what to say in any normal situation. And that's what I want to give you in this episode. That feeling of being prepared, that confidence of knowing what to say. Those simple sentences that make daily life smooth and easy. We've covered morning phrases and basic greetings. In the next part, we'll continue with more campus and daily life situations. We'll learn what to say when you need help, when you're asking directions, when you're making plans, when you're in class. all the situations you encounter every day. But already you've learned some of the most important phrases. Morning, how's it going? Can I get? Got it. No problem. These simple phrases will serve you well in countless situations. Use them. Practice them. Make them part of your natural English. Remember, the goal is not to sound fancy or impressive. The goal is to sound natural and communicate effectively. Simple English is powerful English. Casual English is appropriate English for most of daily life. Don't be afraid to keep it simple. That's what native speakers do. Now take a moment to breathe. Let these phrases settle in your mind. Think about situations where you could use them. Imagine yourself using these natural sentences. Picture yourself speaking simply and confidently. This is your English journey. From textbook to natural. From formal to casual. From complicated to simple. You're learning the English that actually works in real life. Now let's talk about classroom situations. This is where I spent most of my time as a student, and it's where I needed natural English the most. In class, you need to ask questions, clarify information, participate in discussions, and interact with professors and classmates. Using natural, simple phrases makes all of this so much easier. When you don't hear or understand something the professor says, you need to speak up. In my first weeks, I would stay silent when confused, worried about how to ask for clarification. But that meant I missed important information. Once I learned the natural phrases, asking questions became easy. Here's what native speakers say when they don't hear something. Sorry, I didn't catch that. This is probably the most common. Catch here means hear or understand. I didn't catch that means I didn't hear or understand what you just said. Could you repeat that? Simple, direct, polite. This works in any situation. What was that? Very casual. Use this with classmates, not usually with professors, but it's fine in casual settings. I'm sorry, what did you say? A bit more formal, but still natural. Good for professors or professional situations. When you need someone to speak more loudly, you can say, "Sorry, I can't hear you," or "Could you speak up a bit?" Speak up means talk louder. When you need something explained differently, not just repeated, you say, "I'm not sure I understand." Simple and honest. This shows you heard it, but the meaning isn't clear. Could you explain that again? This asks for a different explanation, not just a repetition. What do you mean by? This asks about a specific word or concept. What do you mean by paradigm shift? Can you give an example? Examples often make things clearer than explanations. When you want to confirm you understood correctly, you say, "So, basically," and then summarize what you understood. So, basically, we need to finish this by Friday. This lets the other person correct you if you misunderstood. Just to clarify means just to make sure I understand correctly. Just to clarify, the essay should be 5 pages, right? Let me make sure I got this right. Then state what you understood. This shows you're paying attention and want to be accurate. In class discussions, when you want to contribute an idea, here are natural ways to start. I think. This is the simplest way to share your opinion. I think the character was trying to escape his past. In my opinion. Slightly more formal than I think, but still natural. In my opinion, the author uses symbolism effectively. I feel like. Very casual. Often used when you're not completely sure. I feel like there's more to this than what we're seeing. It seems like, similar to I feel like, used when making observations. It seems like the author is criticizing society. When you agree with someone, you don't say, I concur with your assessment. You say, I agree. Simple and clear. Exactly. One word. Shows strong agreement. That's a good point. This validates what someone said. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Very natural. Casual. I was thinking that too. Shows you had a similar thought. When you disagree politely, you don't say, I must respectfully contradict your statement. You say, I see it differently. Polite and diplomatic. Doesn't directly say the other person is wrong. I'm not sure about that. Gentle disagreement. Shows uncertainty rather than direct opposition. But what about, this raises a counterpoint without being confrontational. Yeah, but. This acknowledges their point but introduces a different perspective. Yeah, but couldn't it also mean? One day I was in my psychology class. The professor was explaining a concept, and I didn't understand a term she used. I raised my hand and said, Sorry, what does cognitive dissonance mean? The professor smiled and explained. I said, Oh, okay, got it. Thanks. A classmate sitting next to me whispered, I was wondering that too, but I was too scared to ask. Thanks for asking. I whispered back, No problem. See how these simple phrases work in real situations. They help you and they help others. Later in that same class, we were discussing a study. I wanted to contribute, but I wasn't completely confident in my understanding. So I said, I might be wrong, but I think the study shows that people prefer consistency over change. This phrase, I might be wrong, but, is useful when you want to share an idea but leave room for correction. The professor nodded. Exactly right, Young-hee. Good observation. I felt a small surge of pride. I had contributed to the discussion using natural English. My sentence was simple and clear, and it worked perfectly. Another classmate built on my comment, saying, Yeah, and I think that's why people resist new ideas even when they make sense. Notice how she started with, Yeah, and I think. This is how natural discussions flow. People build on each other's ideas using simple connecting words. After class, I needed to ask the professor a question. In my textbook English days, I might have said, Excuse me, Professor. I was hoping I might have a moment of your time to inquire about the assignment. Way too formal and complicated. Instead, I walked up to her desk and said, Hi, Professor Chen. Do you have a minute? I have a question about the assignment. Much more natural. She looked up and said, Sure, what's up? See? Even professors use casual phrases like, What's up? I asked my question. For the essay, do we need to include references? She answered, explaining the requirements. I said, Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Thanks so much. She replied, No problem. Let me know if you have any other questions. Let me know if is a very common phrase. It means tell me if or inform me if. Let me know if you need anything. Let me know if you can't. Make it. Let me know if you have questions. Native speakers use this constantly. Now let's talk about asking for directions. This is essential when you're new to a place. In textbooks, you might learn, Excuse me, could you please direct me to the library? But real English is much simpler. Here's what you actually say. Where's the library? Or where's the bathroom? Or where's building C? The structure is always the same. Where's place? If you need more detailed directions, you can add, How do I get to the library? Or, how do I get to the science building? If you want to know if something is nearby, you ask, is there a coffee shop around here? Around here means nearby, in this area. When someone gives you directions, you respond with, got it, thanks, or okay, thank you, or perfect, appreciate it. If the directions are complicated and you're not sure you understood, you can say, sorry, could you say that again? Or, let me make sure I got that, and repeat the directions back to them. Let me tell you about a time this happened to me. I was trying to find a specific classroom building on campus. I saw a student walking by and said, excuse me, do you know where Harris Hall is? She stopped and said, oh yeah, it's that way. Go straight, then take a left at the library. It's the red brick building. I said, straight, then left at the library. Got it. Thanks. She said, no problem, and kept walking. The whole interaction took maybe 15 seconds. Simple, quick, effective. This is how real English works in daily life. Another time, I was in a grocery store looking for a specific item. I couldn't find it, so I asked an employee, excuse me, where can I find the pasta sauce? The employee said, aisle 7, on your left. I said, aisle 7, perfect, thank you. The employee said, you're welcome. Excuse me is useful for getting someone's attention politely. You can use it with strangers in public places. Excuse me, is this seat taken? Excuse me, you dropped this. Excuse me, what time is it? Now let's talk about making plans with friends or classmates. This is an important part of social life, and there are specific phrases native speakers use all the time. When you want to suggest doing something together, you say, want to. This is extremely common. Want to grab lunch? Want to study together? Want to watch a movie? Very casual and friendly. Do you want to? Slightly more formal than want to, but still casual. Do you want to get coffee? Should we? This suggests doing something together. Should we meet at the library? Should we work on this project together? How about? This proposes a specific option. How about Friday afternoon? How about meeting at 3? When someone invites you and you want to say yes, you say, sure. One word, simple, shows you're agreeable. Sounds good. Very common, means that sounds like a good idea. I'm down. Very casual, means I'm willing to do that, or I agree to that. Mostly used by younger people. Yeah, that works. Means, yes, that time, place, plan is good for me. Let's do it. Shows enthusiasm for the plan. When you want to say no or you're not sure, you say, I can't, sorry. Simple and direct. You can add a reason. I can't, sorry, I have class. I'm not sure if I can. Shows uncertainty, often followed by, let me check my schedule. Maybe another time? Polite way to decline while leaving the door open for future plans. I'm kind of busy. Kind of softens the statement. It means somewhat or fairly. When you're confirming plans, you say, so, 3 o'clock at the library, restating the plan to confirm. See you then. Common way to end the planning conversation. Text me when you're on your way. Very common among friends making plans. Let me share a real example. One day after class, a classmate named Sarah approached me. She said, hey, a few of us are going to study at the coffee shop later. Wanna come? In my head, I quickly processed. She's inviting me to join a study group. This is a friendly invitation. The natural response is simple agreement or polite decline. I said, yeah, sounds good. What time? She said, maybe around 4? I responded, 4 works for me. Which coffee shop? She told me, and I said, Perfect, see you there. She said, Cool, see you. The whole exchange was quick and natural. We used simple phrases to make a plan efficiently. No complicated sentences, no formal language, just clear, casual communication. Later, I had to change the plan because something came up. Something came up is a common phrase that means an unexpected situation occurred. I texted Sarah, Hey, sorry, but something came up. Can we push it to 4:30 instead? Push it means move or postpone. She texted back, No worries. 4:30 works. I replied, Thanks. See you then. No worries is incredibly common in casual English. It means don't worry about it, or it's not a problem. Native speakers say this constantly when someone apologizes or changes plans. At the coffee shop, I met Sarah and 2 other students from class. When I arrived, Sarah said, Oh, hey, you made it. You made it means you successfully arrived. I said, Yeah, sorry I'm a couple minutes late. She said, You're fine. We just got here too. You're fine means it's okay, no problem. It's a common response when someone apologizes for something minor. Native speakers also say, You're good, which means the same thing. We ordered drinks and found a table. One of the students, Tom, said, Should we start with Chapter 3? Another student, Lisa, said, Yeah, that's the hardest part. I agreed. Yeah, I didn't really understand that section. I didn't really understand is more casual than I didn't understand. Adding really softens the statement slightly. Native speakers often add these softening words to sound more casual and less direct. Tom started explaining the chapter. At one point, I was confused, so I said, Wait, so are you saying that? And I summarized what I thought he meant. Wait is useful for pausing a conversation when you need clarification. So are you saying that? Ask someone to confirm your understanding. Tom said, Yeah, exactly. Then Lisa added, And also, don't forget the part about. She was adding additional information. And also is redundant grammatically, but native speakers say it anyway. It's natural. We studied for about 2 hours. When we were finishing up, Sarah said, This was really helpful. We should do this again. Tom agreed. For sure. Maybe next week? I said, I'm in. I'm in means I'll participate, or count me in. It's casual and enthusiastic. Lisa said, Cool, I'll make a group chat and we can figure out a time. Figure out means determine or decide. It's very common in casual speech, I said. Sounds good. We all packed up our things and left, saying, See you later, and see you in class, to each other. These phrases, see you later, see you soon, see you tomorrow. These are the standard ways to say goodbye casually. Much simpler than, farewell, I shall see you at a later time. Just, see you later, or even shorter, see ya. On my walk home, I reflected on how natural that study session had felt. A few months ago, I would have been anxious about every sentence, worried about using correct grammar and formal vocabulary. But now, I just communicated naturally. I used the same simple phrases that native speakers use. And it worked. The conversation flowed. The studying was productive. I felt like I belonged. That evening, I ran into my roommate, Ashley. I hadn't seen her all day because we had different schedules. When I walked into our room, she was at her desk doing homework. She looked up and said, Oh, hey, how was your day? How was your day? Is one of the most common questions in English. People ask this every single day. It's a way to show you care about someone and reconnect after being apart. I responded naturally. Pretty good. I went to a study group at the coffee shop. She said, Oh, nice. How'd it go? How'd it go? Is a contraction of how did it go? It means, how was it? Or, was it successful? I said, It was good. Really helpful, actually. Ashley nodded. That's awesome. That's awesome is a casual, enthusiastic response. It shows you're happy for the other person. You can also say, That's great. That's cool. Or, That's nice. Ashley then said, Oh, by the way, some people are hanging out in the common room tonight. Want to come? By the way is used to introduce a new topic or remember something you wanted to mention. Hanging out means spending time together casually, without a specific activity or plan. I was tired, so I said, I'm kind of tired tonight. Maybe I'll stop by later. Stop by means visit briefly. Maybe makes it non-committal. I'm someone not promising, just leaving it as a possibility. Ashley said, No worries. It'll be pretty chill if you change your mind. Chill means relaxed and casual. If you change your mind means if you decide differently. This is another example of natural, casual conversation. Ashley invited me without pressure. I declined without giving a long explanation. She accepted my answer without any awkwardness. This is how English-speaking social culture works. Invitations are casual. Declining is accepted. Nobody takes it personally. Let me teach you more phrases for these social situations. When someone invites you to something, I'd love to, but I can't. Shows you appreciate the invitation even though you can't attend. I wish I could, but... Similar to above. Expresses regret about not being able to join. Let me check and get back to you. When you're not sure if you're free. Get back to you means respond to you later. Can I let you know later? Asking for time to decide. When you're making suggestions to a group. What if we... proposes an idea. What if we meet at noon instead? Why don't we? Similar to, what if we? Suggests a course of action. We could always... Presents an option. We could always reschedule if that doesn't work. When something doesn't work for you. I can't do Tuesday. How about Wednesday? State what doesn't work, then offer an alternative. That doesn't really work for me. Any other time? Polite way to say no to a specific time. I'm tied up that day. Tied up means busy. It's a casual way to say you have other commitments. When confirming understanding and plans. Just to confirm, we're meeting at. Restates the plan to make sure everyone agrees. So the plan is. Summarizes what was decided. Got it. I'll be there. Shows you understand and agree to the plan. One Friday afternoon, I was at the campus gym. The gym is where students exercise. I was on a treadmill, a machine for running indoors. A girl on the next treadmill looked familiar. I thought she might be from one of my classes. When we both finished and were leaving, I said, Hey, are you in Professor Martinez's class? She looked at me and smiled. Oh yeah, you sit near the front, right? I said, Yeah, I'm Young-hee. She said, I'm Emma. Nice to meet you. Starting conversations with, Hey, are you in? Or, Don't I know you from? Is common when you think you recognize someone but aren't sure. It's a friendly way to connect. Emma and I walked out of the gym together. She said, How are you liking that class? This is classic small talk. Discussing a class you have in common. I said, It's pretty good. A lot of reading, though. She laughed. I know, right? So much reading. I know, right? is a very common phrase. It expresses agreement and shared experience. It's like saying, "Yes, I completely understand what you mean because I feel the same way." We chatted for a few more minutes about the class and the professor. Then Emma said, "Well, I'm heading to dinner. It was nice running into you." Running into someone means meeting them unexpectedly. Nice running into you is a common way to end an unexpected conversation. I said, "Yeah, you too. See you in class." She said, "See ya." And we went our separate ways. This brief, friendly conversation is typical of campus life. You run into people, chat briefly, and continue on your way. These small interactions build community and make you feel connected. Now let me teach you some very useful phrases for when things go wrong or you need to handle problems. Because life isn't always smooth. Sometimes things don't work. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need to complain politely. When something isn't working correctly, "This isn't working." Simple statement of the problem. Something's wrong with identifies what has the problem. Something's wrong with my laptop. I think there's a problem with similar to above, slightly more tentative. When you need help. Could you help me with polite request for assistance? I'm having trouble with explains what you're struggling with. I'm having trouble with this assignment. I'm not sure what to do. Honest admission that you need guidance. When you're explaining a problem to someone who can fix it, it's not working properly. Properly means correctly or as it should. It keeps, and describe what it keeps doing wrong. It keeps shutting down. Every time I try to, it explains the specific problem. Every time I try to save, it crashes. When you're apologizing for a problem you caused, sorry about that. Simple, casual apology. My bad. Very casual. Means my mistake. Used mostly by younger people. I didn't mean to. Explains your intention wasn't bad. I didn't mean to forget. When someone apologizes to you, it's okay. Simple reassurance. Don't worry about it. Tells them not to feel bad. These things happen. Philosophical acceptance that mistakes are normal. No big deal. Means it's not important, or it's not a serious problem. Let me tell you about when I had a problem and needed to use these phrases. One day, my student ID card stopped working. The student ID is used to access buildings, the dining hall, the library. When I tried to use it at the dining hall, the card reader made an error sound and the light turned red. I went to the front desk and said, "Excuse me, my ID card isn't working." The staff member said, "Let me see it." I handed her the card. She scanned it on her computer and said, Yeah, something's wrong with it. I'll need to make you a new one." I said, "Okay, how long will that take?" She said, "Just a few minutes. Have a seat and I'll call you when it's ready." I said, "Great, thanks." See how smoothly this problem was resolved? I stated the problem simply. She acknowledged it and offered a solution. I confirmed and thanked her. While I waited, I texted Ashley to let her know I'd be late to meet her. I wrote, "Hey, my ID card stopped working. Getting a new one made. Be there in like 15. She texted back, "No rush. Take your time." No rush means don't hurry. There's no urgency. Take your time means don't feel pressured to hurry. These phrases about time are useful. Be there in like 15 means I'll arrive in approximately 15 minutes. Like here softens the precision. It's not exactly 15 minutes, but around that time. Native speakers use like a lot in casual speech for approximations. After getting my new ID card, I met Ashley at the library. I said, "Sorry I'm late. My ID card stopped working." She said, "Oh, no worries. Did you get it fixed?" I said, "Yeah, they made me a new one." This natural back and forth is how native speakers communicate about small problems. State the problem briefly. The other person responds sympathetically. You confirm it's resolved or explain the solution. Move on. No drama. No elaborate explanations unless asked. All these phrases and examples might seem like a lot, but here's the key insight. You don't need to memorize them all perfectly. You just need to become familiar with them. When you hear native speakers use these phrases repeatedly, your brain starts to recognize the patterns. Then when you need to express something, these phrases will naturally come to mind. The phrases I've taught you in this part cover so many daily situations: classroom interactions, asking for directions, making plans with friends, handling problems, casual social conversations. These are the building blocks of daily English communication. Think about your own life. How many times a day do you ask where something is? How many times do you make plans? How many times do you greet people? How many times do you need to clarify something you didn't understand? These situations happen constantly, and now you know the natural English phrases for all of them. In the next part, we'll cover more situations: ordering food and shopping, weekend activities and social life, text messaging and phone conversations, all the other daily situations where you need natural English. But already, with what you've learned, you can handle so much of daily English conversation. Remember, these phrases work because they're what native speakers actually say. They've been tested millions of times in real situations. They're simple, clear, and effective. You don't need to invent new ways to say things. Just use these proven phrases. That's what native speakers do. They use the same common phrases over and over because they work. Practice these phrases in your mind. Imagine situations where you'd use them. Picture yourself saying them naturally. The more familiar they become, the more easily they'll flow when you need them in real conversations. You're building a foundation of practical, everyday English. This is the English that will make your daily life smoother and more comfortable. This is the English that will help you connect with people. This is the English that works. Now, let's talk about shopping and ordering food. These are situations everyone encounters regularly, and having natural phrases makes them so much easier. I remember my first time shopping in America. I was nervous about every interaction. But once I learned the common phrases, shopping became simple and even enjoyable. Let's start with ordering food at restaurants or cafes. This is something you probably do several times a week, so knowing the natural phrases is essential. The structure is always similar, and the same phrases work in most food places. When you enter a restaurant and someone greets you, they usually ask, "How many?" or "Just you?" or "Party of how many?" They're asking how many people are eating. You simply answer with the number, 2, or "Just me," or 4, "Please." If you need to wait for a table, they might say, "There's a wait right now," or "It'll be about 15 minutes. You respond with, "Okay, that's fine," or "Sure, no problem," or, if 15 minutes is too long, "Actually, we'll come back later." When you're seated and looking at the menu, the server will come and ask, can I get you started with drinks? Or, what can I get you to drink? The pattern, can I get you, is very common in restaurants. You respond with your drink order. I'll have water, please, or can I get a Coke? I'll have and can I get are the two most common ways to order anything. I'll have the pasta, or can I get the burger? Both work perfectly in any restaurant situation. When you're ready to order food, the server might ask, "Are you ready to order?" Or, "Do you know what you'd like?" You respond with, "Yes, I'll have." Or, if you need more time, "Can we have another minute?" Or, "Not quite yet, thanks." When ordering, you simply state what you want. I'll have the chicken sandwich. If you need to customize it, you add that. Can I get the salad with dressing on the side? On the side means separated, not mixed in. If something comes with a choice, the server will ask, "Do you want fries or salad with that?" You just say which one. Fries, please, or salad. Common food ordering questions and responses. For here or to go means, will you eat here or take it away? Response, for here, or to go, please. Anything else? Asks if you want to add more items. Response, that's all, thanks. Or, yeah, can I also get, if you want more. How would you like that cooked? For meat. Responses, medium, please, or, well done. Let me tell you about my first successful food ordering experience after learning these phrases. I went to a cafe alone to get lunch. Previously, I would have been anxious, but this time I felt prepared. I walked in. The person at the counter said, "Hi, what can I get for you?" I responded naturally, "Hi, can I get the turkey sandwich and a small coffee?" She said, "Sure. Do you want anything on the sandwich?" I said, "Lettuce, tomato, and mayo, please." She typed it in and said, "For here or to go?" I said, "To go." She said, "Perfect. That'll be $8.50. I handed her my card. She processed it and said, "Your order will be ready in a few minutes." I said, "Great, thank you." The whole interaction took about 30 seconds and went smoothly. Simple, natural, effective. This is what knowing the right phrases does for you. Now let's talk about shopping at stores. Whether it's a grocery store, clothing store, or any retail shop, there are common phrases that come up again and again. When you enter a store, an employee might approach and ask, "Can I help you find anything?" Or, "Are you looking for anything in particular?" If you're just browsing and don't need help, you say, "I'm just looking, thanks," or "Just browsing, thank you." Browsing means looking without intending to buy anything specific yet. If you do need help, you say, "Actually, yes. Where can I find?" Or, "I'm looking for," and name what you need. When you want to try something on in a clothing store, you ask, "Can I try this on?" The employee will point you to the fitting room. Fitting room, or dressing room, is where you try on clothes. If something doesn't fit right, you can ask, "Do you have this in a different size?" Or, "Do you have this in a medium?" If you want a different color, "Do you have this in black?" When you're ready to buy, you take your items to the checkout counter. The cashier will scan your items and say the total. Your total is $23.45, or just $23.45. You give them payment and they say, "Here's your receipt," or "Would you like your receipt?" Common responses: "No thanks," if you don't want the receipt, or just take it and say, "Thank you." If they ask, "Did you find everything okay?" you say, "Yes, thanks," or "Yep, all good." Many stores ask, "Would you like a bag?" because some places charge for bags or encourage reusable bags. You respond, yes, please, or no thanks, I'm good, if you brought your own bag or don't need one. One Saturday, I went to a grocery store. I was looking for a specific type of tea but couldn't find it. I saw an employee stocking shelves and said, "Excuse me, do you know where the tea is?" He said, "Oh yeah, aisle 3. I said, "Thanks," and headed there. Aisle 3 means row 3. Grocery stores are organized in numbered rows called aisles. At the checkout, the cashier was friendly. She scanned my items and said, $32.15. I handed her my card. She processed it and said, "Would you like your receipt?" I said, "Sure, thanks." She handed it to me and said, "Have a good day." I responded, "You too," or "Thanks, you too." Have a good day is what people say as a farewell in shops and restaurants. The response is "you too," or "thanks, you too." Simple and friendly. Now let's talk about weekend activities and social life. Making plans, hanging out with friends, talking about what you did. These are the conversations that make life enjoyable and help you build relationships. When Friday comes, people often talk about weekend plans. Common questions. Any plans for the weekend? This is the standard question. People ask this on Thursday or Friday. What are you up to this weekend? Similar question, slightly more casual. Doing anything fun this weekend? Assumes you might have fun plans. Responses vary depending on what you're actually doing. Not much, just relaxing, if you have no specific plans. Nothing special. You? If your plans are ordinary. Yeah, I'm going to, followed by what you're doing. Yeah, I'm going to visit some friends. I'm not sure yet. Might just stay home. When you're undecided. When suggesting activities. Want to go see a movie? Go see means watch a movie at a theater. Feel like grabbing dinner? Feel like means do you want to, and grabbing means getting. We should hang out sometime. Hang out means spend casual time together. Let's get together this weekend. Get together means meet up socially. Responses to invitations. That sounds fun. Shows enthusiasm for the idea. I'm in. Enthusiastic agreement means count me in. Sure. When were you thinking? Agreeable but asking for details. I'd be down for that. Casual agreement means I'm willing to do that. If declining. I can't this weekend, but how about next week? Declining but offering an alternative. I wish I could, but I'm visiting family. Shows you want to but have other commitments. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. Non-committal, buying time to decide. One Friday afternoon, my friend Emma texted me. Hey, want to go to the farmer's market tomorrow morning? A farmer's market is an outdoor market where local farmers sell fresh produce and goods. I texted back, "Yeah, sounds fun. What time?" She replied, "Maybe 10? I can pick you up." Pick you up means come get you in my car. I wrote, "Perfect. See you then." Saturday morning, Emma picked me up. When I got in her car, she said, "Morning. How are you?" I said, "Good. Thanks for driving." She said, "No problem. I love the farmer's market. Have you been before?" I said, "No, this is my first time." She said, "Oh, you'll love it. They have amazing fresh produce." At the market, we walked around looking at different stands. A stand is a small booth or table where vendors sell things. Emma said, "Oh, look at those strawberries. They look so good." I agreed. "Yeah, they do." She said to the vendor, "How much for a basket?" The vendor said, $5. Emma said, "I'll take one." This is how casual conversations happen when you're out with friends. Commenting on things you see, asking prices, making small decisions. The language is simple and natural. We bought strawberries, some vegetables, and fresh bread. Emma said, "Want to grab coffee after this?" I said, "Sure." We went to a nearby cafe. While we sat drinking coffee, Emma asked, "So, how are your classes going?" This is typical friend conversation, asking about each other's lives. I said, "Pretty good. A lot of work, but I'm managing." Managing means handling it, or dealing with it okay. She said, "I know what you mean. This semester is tough." "I know what you mean" is similar to "I know," right? It shows understanding and shared experience. We talked for about an hour. The conversation naturally moved between topics: classes, weekend plans, funny things that happened during the week. This is what hanging out is. No agenda, no structure, just friendly conversation and companionship. When we finished our coffee, Emma said, "Should we head out?" Head out means leave or go. I said, "Yeah, I should probably get some studying done." She said, "Ugh, me too." "Okay, let's go." On the drive back to campus, Emma said, "We should do this again sometime." I said, "Definitely. It was fun." She said, "Cool. I'll text you." When we got to my dorm, I said, "Thanks for today." She said, "Of course. See you later." I responded, "See ya," and got out of the car. These phrases, "see you later," "see ya," "talk to you soon," "text me." These are the natural ways friends end interactions. No need for formal goodbyes. Just casual, friendly farewells that assume you'll stay in touch. Now let's talk about text messaging and phone conversations. Modern communication happens a lot through text, and text English has its own conventions. Text English is often even more casual than spoken English. Common text abbreviations and casual spellings: you instead of you, instead of your, or your are instead of are, k instead of okay. IDK means I don't know. LL means laughing out loud, shows something is funny. OMG means oh my god, expression of surprise. Barbie means be right back. Tile means talk to you later. NP means no problem. NVM means never mind. You don't have to use these abbreviations, but you should recognize them because many people use them, especially younger people. Common text conversation patterns. Starting a text conversation. "Hey, what's up?" "Hi, are you free?" "Hey, quick question." Asking to meet up. "Want to meet up later?" "Free for lunch?" "Down to hang out?" Confirming you're coming. "On my way." "Be there in 10. Almost there." If you're running late. "Sorry, running a few minutes late." "Stuck in traffic, be there soon." 5 minutes away. Ending text conversations. "Cool, talk later." "Sounds good." "See you then." "K, bye." Let me show you a real text conversation I had with my friend Tom. He texted, "Yo, wanna grab lunch?" Yo is very casual, like, "Hey." I replied, "Sure, when?" He wrote, "Like 12?" I said, "Works for me. Where?" He texted, "How about that pizza place?" I replied, "Sounds good. Meet her there." He sent, "Cool." See how short and casual? No complete sentences. Lots of abbreviated words. This is normal text conversation. When texting, you don't need proper punctuation or capitalization. You don't need complete sentences. The goal is quick, efficient communication. Later, when I arrived at the pizza place, I texted Tom, "Here, where are you?" He replied, "Parking, be there in 2 mins." I sent back, "K." That's a complete text conversation. Very brief, very casual, perfectly normal. Phone conversations have their own patterns too. When you answer a call from a friend, you don't say, "Hello, to whom am I speaking?" You just say, "Hey," or "Hello." The question mark in "hello" indicates you're answering, wondering who's calling. If you're calling someone, when they answer, you say, "Hey, it's Young Hee," or "Hi, it's me," if they know your voice. Then you state why you're calling. "I was calling to ask," or "Quick question," common phone phrases. "Can you hear me?" If the connection is bad, "You're breaking up," means the connection is cutting out. "Let me call you back." If you need to end the call and call again later, "I'll let you go," is a polite way to end a conversation, meaning, "I know you're busy, so I'll stop talking now." "Talk to you later," when ending a call. "Okay, bye." Simple ending. One time my roommate Ashley called me while I was at the library. I answered, "Hey." She said, "Hey, where are you?" I said, "At the library. What's up?" She said, "Oh, just wondering if you're coming home for dinner." I said, "Yeah, probably around 6. She said, "Okay, cool. See you then." I said, "See ya," and we hung up. The whole call took maybe 20 seconds. Quick, casual, effective. Let me teach you some phrases for weekend activities specifically, because weekends are when most social things happen. Suggesting weekend activities. Want to check out that new restaurant? Check out means try or go see. Feel like going downtown? Feel like means are you interested in? Should we do something tomorrow? Open-ended suggestion. I was thinking we could, proposing a specific idea. Discussing ongoing plans. What time works for you? Asking about scheduling. Where should we meet? Determining the meeting location. I'll come get you, or I'll pick you up. Offering transportation. Meet you there? Suggesting meeting directly at the location. During the activity. This place is nice. Commenting positively on a location. I'm so glad we did this. Expressing enjoyment. Should we get going? Suggesting it's time to leave. One more drink and then we'll head out? Proposing a timeline. After the activity. That was fun. Positive comment afterward. We should do that again sometime. Expressing desire to repeat. Thanks for coming. If you organized it. Thanks for inviting me. If someone else organized it. One Sunday, a group of us went hiking. Hiking means walking in nature, usually on trails in hills or mountains. Before we left, we had a group chat about the plans. Sarah texted, "What time tomorrow?" Tom replied, "How about 9?" I wrote, "Works for me." Emma added, "Meet at the campus parking lot?" Everyone replied with variations of "sounds good" and "see you then." The next morning, we all met at the parking lot. Tom was driving. He said, "Everyone ready?" We all nodded. Emma said, "Let's do it." We drove to the hiking trail, which took about 30 minutes. During the hike, we chatted casually. At one point, Sarah said, "Hold up, I need water." Hold up means wait or pause. We stopped. Tom said, "Yeah, let's take a break here." We sat on some rocks and drank water. Emma said, "This view is amazing." Tom agreed. Right? So worth the drive. So worth it means definitely worth it, or very much worth it. I said, "I'm glad we did this. I needed to get outside." Sarah said, "Same. I've been stuck inside studying all week." Same is a very common short response meaning me too, or I feel the same way. Young people say it constantly. If someone says, "I'm so tired," you can respond with just, "Same." After hiking for a couple hours, Tom said, "Should we start heading back?" Emma checked her phone and said, "Yeah, probably. I have to work tonight." We hiked back to the car. On the drive home, Sarah said, "Let's do this again soon." I agreed. For sure. This was really fun. Tom said, "How about in 2 weeks?" Emma said, "I'm down." I said, "Same, I'm in." I'm in, and I'm down. Both mean I'm willing to do that or count me on. When Tom dropped me off at my dorm, I said, "Thanks for driving." He said, "No problem. See you in class tomorrow." I said, "See ya." This is the natural flow of making plans, doing activities, and maintaining friendships in English. Simple, casual phrases, clear communication, friendly tone. Let me teach you some more phrases about expressing preferences and making choices, because this comes up all the time in social situations. When someone asks what you want to do, "I don't care, whatever you want," shows you're flexible and have no strong preference. "I'm easy" means I'm flexible, or anything is fine with me. British English uses this more than American. "I'm good either way" means both options are fine with me. "You choose" lets the other person decide. When you do have a preference, "I'd prefer" states your preference politely. "I'd prefer pizza over burgers." "I'm in the mood for" expresses what sounds good right now. "I'm in the mood for Chinese food." "Actually, I'd rather" suggests an alternative. "Actually, I'd rather stay in tonight." When discussing food specifically, "What are you hungry for?" asking what type of food they want. "I could go for" expressing interest in specific food. "I could go for tacos." "That sounds good to me." Agreeing with someone's food suggestion. "I'm not feeling" declining a food option. "I'm not feeling pizza right now." Let me share one more story. One Friday evening, my friends and I were trying to decide what to do. We were in a group chat. Sarah wrote, "What should we do tonight?" Emma replied, "IDK, what do you guys want to do?" Tom suggested, "Movie?" I wrote, "Or we could just hang at someone's place?" Sarah said, "I'm down for that." We ended up going to Tom's apartment. When we got there, Tom said, "Make yourselves at home." This phrase means get comfortable or relax, act like you're in your own home. He asked, "Anyone want drinks? I have water, soda, beer." I said, "I'll take a water." Others ordered different drinks. We spent the evening just talking, listening to music, and playing cards. Around 11, Sarah said, "I should probably get going. Early day tomorrow." Get going means leave or head out. Emma said, "Yeah, me too. I'll walk out with you." When I left, I said to Tom, "Thanks for having us." "Thanks for having us" is what you say to someone who hosted you at their place. Tom said, "Of course. We should do this more often." I agreed. Definitely. These casual social gatherings are a huge part of English-speaking social culture. No big plans, no expensive activities, just friends spending time together. And the English for these situations is simple and natural, suggesting ideas, expressing preferences, being flexible, thanking the host. All straightforward phrases. The more you use these phrases, the more automatic they become. You stop thinking about which phrase to use. Your brain just produces the natural phrase for the situation. This is fluency, not perfect grammar, not impressive vocabulary, just natural, automatic use of common phrases. Think about how many times a week you order food, go shopping, make plans with friends, text people, or discuss weekend activities. Every single one of these situations becomes easier when you know the natural phrases. You walk into the cafe confident because you know exactly what to say. You text a friend without overthinking it because you know the casual patterns. You make plans easily because you know the standard phrases. This is what daily English is really about. Not formal presentations or academic essays, but these everyday interactions. The small conversations that fill your days. The simple exchanges that make life function smoothly. The friendly chats that build relationships. In the next part, we'll cover evening routines, handling problems and complaints, apologizing and thanking, and then we'll do a gentle review of all the key phrases from this entire episode. But already, you have so many useful sentences. You have the tools for morning routines, greetings, classroom situations, asking for help, making plans, ordering food, shopping, weekend activities, texting, all the core situations of daily life. Practice these phrases. Use them in real situations. Notice how native speakers use them. The more familiar they become, the more confident you'll feel. You're building natural English, sentence by sentence. And with each new phrase you master, your English life gets a little easier, a little smoother, a little more comfortable. You're doing great. Keep learning these practical sentences. Keep using simple, natural English. Keep communicating clearly and confidently. You've got this. Now let's talk about evening routines and the phrases you use as the day winds down. Winds down means comes to an end, slows down. Evening conversations are often more relaxed than daytime ones. You're tired from the day, and the English reflects that relaxed feeling. When you come home or see your roommate or family after the day, the first thing you usually ask or get asked is, "How was your day?" This is one of the most common questions in English. It's asked every single day, millions of times. So you need natural responses. Common responses to, "How was your day?" "Good. How was yours?" The standard, neutral response. Shows your day was fine and returns the question. "Pretty good. Long, but good." Acknowledges it was tiring, but overall positive. "It was okay. How about you?" Neutral response when the day wasn't special. "Exhausting. I'm so tired." When you had a particularly tiring day. Exhausting means very tiring. "Not bad. Yours?" Simple, casual response. "It was good. I got a lot done." Positive response emphasizing productivity. If something specific happened, "Pretty good. I aced my test." Sharing good news. Aced means did very well on. Kind of rough, honestly. When the day was difficult. Rough means hard or challenging. It was fine. Nothing special. When the day was ordinary and uneventful. After this initial check-in, evening conversations often turn to plans for the rest of the night or discussing what happened during the day. Common evening phrases. "What do you want for dinner?" The eternal question when you live with others. "I'm so hungry." Statement expressing you need food soon. "Should we order something?" Suggesting getting takeout or delivery instead of cooking. "I'm too tired to cook." Explaining why you don't want to make food. "Want to just make something simple?" Suggesting easy cooking at home. When discussing dinner options. "How about pizza?" Suggesting a specific food. "I could go for that." Agreeing to a suggestion. "I'm not really in the mood for that." Politely declining a suggestion. "What sounds good to you?" Asking for their preference. "I don't care. Whatever you want." Being flexible. Letting them choose. One evening, I came back to my dorm room after a long day of classes and studying. Ashley was already there, sitting at her desk. She looked up and said, "Hey, how was your day?" I dropped my backpack and fell onto my bed. Exhausting. I've been in the library for like 5 hours. She made a sympathetic face. Ugh, that sounds rough. You hungry? I thought about it. Yeah, actually, starving. Starving is an exaggeration meaning very hungry. Ashley said, Want to order something? I'm too tired to go anywhere. I agreed. Yeah, good idea. What are you thinking? She said. Pizza? I said. Sounds perfect. We ordered pizza online. While waiting for it to arrive, we both relaxed. Ashley was scrolling through her phone. I was lying on my bed, just resting. After about 15 minutes of comfortable silence, Ashley said, Oh, by the way, your package came. By the way, introduces new information or a topic you just remembered. I sat up. Oh, thanks. Where is it? She pointed to my desk. I put it there. I got up to check it. You're the best. Thanks. She said, No problem. These small interactions happen every day. Someone tells you about a delivery, about a message someone left, about something they noticed, and you respond with simple thanks and acknowledgement. This is the texture of daily English life. Texture here means the feel or character of something. When the pizza arrived, there was a knock on the door. Ashley said, I'll get it. She opened the door, took the pizza from the delivery person and said, Thank you. Then she brought it to our room. We sat on the floor and ate pizza while watching a show on my laptop. After eating, Ashley said, I should probably work on my essay. I said, Yeah, I have reading to do too. We both got to work, each at our own desks. This is normal roommate life, spending time together but also doing your own things. Around 9 p.m., Ashley stretched and yawned. I'm done for the day. Done for the day means finished with work for today. I said, Yeah, me too. My brain is fried. My brain is fried is a casual way to say you're mentally exhausted and can't think anymore. Ashley said, I'm going to take a shower and then probably go to bed. I said, Same. I'm exhausted. She gathered her shower stuff and said, Night. See you tomorrow. I said, Night. Even though it was only 9 p.m., we were both so tired that bed sounded perfect. Let me teach you phrases about nighttime routines. I'm going to take a shower. Simple statement of intention. I'm heading to bed. Heading to bed means going to bed. I'm calling it a night. Means you're done with the day and going to sleep. Often used when leaving a social situation to go home. I think I'm going to turn in. Turn in is another way to say go to bed. I should probably get some sleep. Acknowledging it's time to sleep. Saying goodnight. Night. Short for good night. Very common between roommates or family. Sleep well. Wishing someone good sleep. See you tomorrow. When you'll see the person the next day. Sweet dreams. Warm, friendly goodnight wish. Now let's talk about handling problems, complaints, and difficult situations. Because not everything in life goes smoothly. Sometimes you need to complain, report a problem, or express dissatisfaction. But there are polite, natural ways to do this in English. When something is wrong with a product or service, you need to explain the problem clearly but politely. Being angry or rude rarely helps. Being clear and polite usually gets better results. Opening phrases for complaints. I'm having a problem with states the issue clearly. I'm having a problem with my internet connection. There's an issue with, similar to above, slightly more formal. There's an issue with my bill. I think there might be a mistake. Gentle way to point out an error. I think there might be a mistake with my order. This isn't quite right. Polite way to say something is wrong. This isn't quite right. I ordered the medium, not the large. Explaining the problem. It's not working properly. General statement for malfunctions. It keeps, and describe what it keeps doing. It keeps disconnecting. I was supposed to get, but explains what you expected versus what you got. After explaining the problem, you usually ask for a solution. Is there anything you can do? Asks if they can fix it. What can we do about this? Includes both parties in finding a solution. Can this be fixed? Direct question about possibility of repair. Would it be possible to politely requests a specific solution? Would it be possible to get a refund? Let me tell you about when I had to complain about something. I ordered a textbook online, and when it arrived, it was damaged. The cover was torn and pages were bent. I needed to contact the company. I called their customer service. When the representative answered, I said, "Hi, I'm calling about an order I received. There's a problem with the book." She said, "I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me what happened?" Notice she said, "I'm sorry to hear that." This is standard customer service language. It shows empathy without admitting fault. I explained, "The book arrived damaged. The cover is torn and some pages are bent." She said, "Oh, that's not good. I apologize for that." Again, acknowledging the problem. She continued, "Can I get your order number?" I gave her the number. She looked it up and said, "Okay, I see your order. Would you like us to send you a replacement?" I said, "Yes, that would be great." She said, "Perfect. I'll process that right now. The new book should arrive within 5 to 7 business days." I said, "Okay, thank you. Do I need to return the damaged one?" She said, "No, you can keep it or discard it." Discard means throw away. I said, "Great, thank you so much for your help." She said, "You're very welcome. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" This is a standard customer service closing question. I said, "No, that's all. Thanks again." She said, "Have a great day." I said, "You too." The whole interaction was polite and efficient. I explained the problem clearly. They offered a solution. I accepted it. And we both ended the call satisfied. This is how complaints should work when handled well. Sometimes you need to complain to a roommate or friend about something bothering you. This requires even more tact because you want to maintain the relationship. Tact means being sensitive and diplomatic. Gentle complaint phrases. "Hey, would you mind?" Very polite request. "Hey, would you mind keeping the music down a bit?" I don't want to be annoying, but softens the complaint. I don't want to be annoying, but could you clean up the kitchen? Could I ask you to? Polite request. Could I ask you to let me know when you're having people over? Would it be okay if? Asking for a change. Would it be okay if we set some quiet hours? One time, my roommate Ashley had a habit of staying up late on her laptop with the screen very bright. It made it hard for me to sleep. I needed to say something, but I didn't want to seem demanding or rude. One evening I said, "Hey Ashley, can I talk to you about something?" She said, "Yeah, of course. What's up?" I said, "So, I don't want to be annoying, but would you mind dimming your laptop screen at night? The brightness makes it hard for me to fall asleep." She immediately looked apologetic. "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry." I said, "No worries. I know you're not doing it on purpose." She said, "I can definitely turn it down. I should probably be going to bed earlier anyway." I said, "Thanks, I appreciate it. She said, No, thank you for telling me. I'd want to know if I was bothering you. I smiled. Well, other than that, you're a great roommate. She laughed. Same. We're lucky to have each other. This is how to handle small conflicts in English. Be polite. Be direct about the issue. Frame it as a request rather than a demand. And show appreciation when the person agrees to change. This preserves the relationship while solving the problem. Now let's talk more about apologizing and thanking, because these are essential social skills. We've covered some of this, but let me give you more depth and variety. Ways to apologize. I'm sorry. The most basic and universal apology. Sorry about that. Casual apology for small things. My bad. Very casual. Used by young people mostly. Means my mistake. I apologize. More formal than I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Emphasizes sincerity when you feel bad. I'm so sorry. Even stronger emphasis. When you did something specific. Sorry for being late. Apologizing for lateness. Sorry about the noise. Apologizing for being loud. Sorry I forgot. Apologizing for forgetting something. Sorry, that was my fault. Taking responsibility. When responding to someone's apology, it's okay. Standard acceptance of apology. Don't worry about it. Tells them not to feel bad. No worries. Very common casual acceptance. It's fine. Brief acceptance. These things happen. Philosophical acceptance that mistakes are normal. It's no big deal. Minimizes the problem to make them feel better. Ways to thank someone. Thank you. Thanks. Basic gratitude. Thanks so much. More enthusiastic. Thank you so much. Even more emphasis. I really appreciate it. Shows deeper gratitude. Thanks a ton. Very casual, enthusiastic thanks. You're a lifesaver. When someone helped you a lot. Lifesaver is someone who saves you from difficulty. I owe you one. Means, I'll return the favor sometime. Shows you want to reciprocate. For specific things. Thanks for your help. When someone helped you. Thanks for coming. When someone attended your event. Thanks for waiting. When someone was patient. Thanks for understanding. When someone was accommodating. When responding to thanks. You're welcome. Standard response. No problem. Very common. Shows it wasn't difficult. No worries. Similar to no problem. Anytime. Shows willingness to help again. Of course. Implies, naturally I would help you. Sure thing. Casual, friendly response. Don't mention it. Older phrase meaning, you don't need to thank me. One day, I was struggling to carry several heavy bags of groceries from the bus stop to my dorm. A guy I vaguely recognized from one of my classes saw me and said, Hey, need a hand? Need a hand? Means, need help? I was so grateful. Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much. He grabbed 2 of the bags. No problem. I'm going that way anyway. We walked together and chatted. When we got to my dorm, I said, Thanks again. You're a lifesaver. He smiled. Anytime. See you in class. I said, See ya. This small act of kindness was made possible by simple English phrases. Him offering help, me accepting gratefully. Both of us using casual, friendly language. This is how English creates community and connection. Let me teach you some phone etiquette phrases beyond what we've covered. Phone conversations have specific conventions, especially for different types of calls. When calling a business or office, Hi, I'm calling about, states your purpose. Hi, I'm calling about my appointment. I'd like to, followed by what you need. I'd like to schedule an appointment. Could you help me with? Asks for assistance. When they answer, they might say, how can I help you? Standard greeting question. What can I do for you? Similar question. When you need to be transferred, can I speak to? Asks for a specific person. Could you transfer me to? Asks to be connected to a department. When leaving a voicemail. Hi, this is Young-hee Kim. I'm calling about. State your name and purpose clearly. Please call me back at. Give your phone number clearly and slowly. Thanks, and I look forward to hearing from you. Polite closing. When ending phone calls politely. Well, I don't want to keep you. Acknowledges the other person's time. I should let you go. Similar to above. Okay, thanks for your time. When calling someone for help or information. Thanks for calling. When someone called you. Talk to you later. Talk to you soon. Friendly closings. One time, I needed to call my doctor's office to schedule an appointment. The receptionist answered, Good morning, Dr. Smith's office. I said, Hi, I'd like to schedule an appointment. She said, Sure. Are you a current patient? I said, Yes, my name is Young-hee Kim. She looked me up in the system. Okay, I see you. What are you coming in for? I explained my reason. She said, How about next Tuesday at 2 p.m.? I checked my schedule. Actually, I have class then. Do you have anything in the afternoon? She said, I have 3:30. I said, Perfect, that works. She confirmed, Okay, you're all set for next Tuesday at 3:30. I said, Great, thank you so much. She said, You're welcome. See you then. I said, See you then. Thanks, bye. She said, Bye. This professional phone conversation used the same simple, natural phrases we've been learning. Even formal situations don't require complicated English. Just clear, polite communication. Now let me reflect on something important. After months of learning and using these everyday English sentences, I realized something profound. The difference between sounding like a textbook and sounding like a real person isn't about knowing more words or more grammar rules. It's about knowing which words and phrases real people actually use in daily life. Native speakers have a relatively limited set of phrases they use over and over for common situations. They're not constantly creating new, unique sentences. They're using the same tried-and-true phrases because those phrases work. How's it going? Sounds good. No worries. Let me know. These phrases appear in conversations millions of times every day because they're efficient and clear. When you learn these common phrases, you're learning the actual building blocks of English conversation. You're learning the phrases that make up maybe 80% of daily English. With this foundation, you can handle almost any everyday situation. I remember when I first arrived in America, I thought I needed to impress people with my English. I tried to use big words and complex sentences, but this actually made communication harder, not easier. People were confused by my overly formal language. I sounded unnatural. Once I switched to simple, natural phrases, everything changed. People understood me easily. Conversations flowed smoothly. I felt more connected to people, and ironically, people often complimented my English, even though I was using simpler language than before. Why? Because natural English is impressive. Clear communication is impressive. Sounding like a real person is impressive. You don't need a huge vocabulary to sound natural. You need the right phrases for common situations. You don't need perfect grammar. You need the patterns that native speakers actually use. You don't need to sound like a professor. You need to sound like yourself, communicating clearly in everyday situations. This is liberating. Liberating means freeing, releasing from constraints. You don't have to spend years building a massive vocabulary. You can focus on the practical, everyday phrases and see immediate improvement in your daily life. You can start sounding natural right away by using the phrases you've learned in this episode. Think about your typical day. You wake up. You greet people. You go to class or work. You ask questions. You make plans. You eat food. You shop for things. You text friends. You handle small problems. You thank people. You apologize when needed. You say goodnight. These situations repeat day after day, and now you know natural English phrases for all of them. Every time you use one of these phrases in a real situation, you're reinforcing it. You're making it more automatic. Soon, you won't need to think about which phrase to use. Your brain will just produce the natural phrase because you've heard it and used it so many times. This is fluency, not perfection, not impressive vocabulary, just automatic, natural use of common phrases. I want to encourage you to start using these phrases immediately. Don't wait until you've memorized them perfectly. Just start using them. When you order coffee, try, "Can I get a medium coffee?" instead of something more formal. When someone asks how you are, try, "Pretty good, you?" instead of, "I am quite well, thank you for inquiring." You'll feel a bit awkward at first. That's normal. Any new behavior feels awkward initially, but persist. Keep using these natural phrases. Within a week or two, they'll start to feel comfortable. Within a month, they'll feel automatic. Within a few months, you'll sound remarkably natural. And here's a secret. Native speakers won't judge you for trying. They'll actually appreciate that you're making an effort to communicate naturally. If you make a small mistake, they'll either not notice or not care. They're focused on understanding your meaning, not evaluating your grammar. I've made countless mistakes while learning these phrases. I've used phrases in slightly wrong contexts. I've mixed up similar expressions. I've had awkward moments where I wasn't sure which phrase to use. But you know what? People were patient. They understood. And I learned from each mistake. Making mistakes is part of learning. Don't let fear of mistakes stop you from using these phrases. Use them. Learn from the responses you get. Adjust as needed. This is how you develop natural English. Through real use, real feedback, real adjustment. 1 year after I started focusing on everyday English phrases, I had a revelation. A revelation is a sudden realization or understanding. I was having coffee with a friend, chatting about normal things like classes and weekend plans, when I suddenly realized I'm not translating anymore. I'm not thinking in Korean and then translating to English. I'm thinking directly in English. These phrases have become so natural that they flow without conscious effort. This is the ultimate goal. To reach a point where English phrases come naturally, without translation, without overthinking. And the path to this goal is what I've shared with you in this episode. Learn the common everyday phrases. Use them in real situations. Practice consistently. Build automaticity. Become fluent in the English that people actually use. You have all the tools you need now. Morning phrases, greetings, small talk, classroom language, asking for help, ordering food, shopping, making plans, texting, handling problems, apologizing, thanking, phone conversations, evening routines, all the situations that make up daily English life. In the next and final part, we'll do a gentle review of all the key phrases. We'll organize them by situation so you can easily remember them. We'll practice them together one more time. And I'll leave you with final encouragement and affirmations. But right now, take a moment to appreciate how much you've learned in this episode. You've absorbed dozens and dozens of practical, useful English sentences. You're more prepared than you realize. You're ready to sound natural in everyday English. You've got this. Now we're going to review all the important everyday English sentences we've learned together. I'll organize them by situation so you can easily remember them and use them when you need them. This is a gentle review, so if you're getting ready to sleep, just let these phrases wash over you. Your brain is absorbing them even if you're not actively memorizing. Let's start with the morning, the very beginning of your day. The first words you say to yourself and others. Morning phrases. When you wake up. Time to get up. I'm still sleepy. Just 5 more minutes. I need coffee. Simple, natural phrases that start your day. Say them softly in your mind. Time to get up. I need coffee. These are the sounds of morning. Greeting people in the morning. Morning. How's it going? How are you? And the responses. Good, you? Pretty good. How about you? Not bad. These greetings happen hundreds of times in your life. Morning. How's it going? Good, you? Let these flow naturally. Small talk. Making friendly connections. Nice day, isn't it? Did you sleep well? Any plans today? Small talk is the glue that holds social interactions together. It doesn't need to be deep or interesting. Just friendly. Just human. Nice day, isn't it? Any plans today? Now classroom phrases. The language of learning. When you need clarification. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that? I'm not sure I understand. Can you explain that again? These phrases show you're engaged and want to understand. No shame in not understanding. Just ask. I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that? Sharing your ideas in class. I think, in my opinion, it seems like starting your contributions simply and naturally. I think the character represents hope. Simple, clear, effective, agreeing and disagreeing. I agree. Exactly. That's a good point. When agreeing, I see it differently. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, but when disagreeing politely, these phrases keep discussions flowing. I agree. I see it differently. Natural conversation, asking for help, essential phrases when you need assistance. Where's the library? How do I get to? Could you help me with? I'm having trouble with. Direct, clear requests. No need for elaborate explanations. Just state what you need. Where's the library? Could you help me? Making plans. The language of friendship and connection. Want to grab lunch? Should we study together? How about Friday afternoon? Suggesting activities naturally. And responses. Sounds good. I'm down. I can't, sorry. Whether accepting or declining, keep it simple and friendly. Sounds good. I'm down. Maybe another time. Ordering food. You do this so often, make it easy on yourself. Can I get a medium coffee? I'll have the turkey sandwich. For here or to go? That's all, thanks. 4 phrases, countless meals. Can I get? I'll have. For here. That's all. Simple ordering every time. Shopping phrases. Quick, exchanges that get you what you need. I'm just looking, thanks. When browsing. Do you have this in a medium? When looking for sizes. Can I try this on? When trying clothes. I'll take it. When buying. Do you take card? About payment. Simple questions, simple answers. I'm just looking. Do you have this in blue? I'll take it. Texting language. Modern communication, short and efficient. What's up? Want to meet up later? On my way. Be there in 10. Sorry, running late. Text messages are meant to be quick. Don't overthink them. Just communicate clearly. On my way. Be there in 10. That's enough. Social activities. Weekend fun and friendship. What are you up to this weekend? Want to go see a movie? Feel like grabbing dinner? Let's hang out. Making plans naturally. That sounds fun. I'm in. Accepting enthusiastically. I wish I could, but declining politely. These phrases build relationships. Want to hang out? Sounds fun. I'm in. Handling problems. When things go wrong. I'm having a problem with. This isn't working. Could you help me with? State the problem clearly. Sorry about that. My bad. Apologize when needed. It's okay. No worries. Accept apologies graciously. Life has problems. These phrases help solve them. This isn't working. No worries. It's okay. Thanking people. Showing gratitude and appreciation. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. You're a lifesaver. When you're grateful. No problem. Anytime. You're welcome. When receiving thanks. Gratitude creates connection. Thank you, you're welcome. Simple exchanges, deep meaning. Evening phrases. Winding down the day. How was your day? Checking in with people. Pretty good, you? The standard response. What do you want for dinner? The eternal evening question. I'm exhausted. Acknowledging tiredness. I'm calling it a night. Heading to bed. Night. See you tomorrow. Saying goodbye for the day. These phrases close your day peacefully. How was your day? Good? Yours? I'm calling it a night. Night. Now let me tell you what happened 1 year after I fully embraced these everyday English sentences. 1 full year of using simple, natural phrases instead of textbook English. The change was remarkable. I was at a campus event, a gathering where students come together for food and socializing. I was talking with a group of American students, people I had become friendly with over the semester. We were chatting about classes, weekend plans, funny things that happened. Just normal conversation. At one point, one of them said to me, "You know, your English is really good. How long have you been here?" I said, "About 1.5 years." He said, "Wow, your English sounds so natural. You sound like you've been here forever." This compliment meant everything to me. Not because my grammar was perfect. It wasn't. Not because I used impressive vocabulary. I didn't. But because I sounded natural. I sounded like a real person, not a textbook. I used the same simple phrases that native speakers use, and that made me sound fluent. Another person in the group said, "Yeah, you're really easy to talk to. Some international students are hard to understand, but you're totally clear." This was exactly what I had been working toward. Not perfection. Clarity. Natural communication. Being easy to talk to. I thought back to my first weeks in America, when I was asking for the bathroom using elaborate formal sentences, when I was ordering coffee like I was in a business meeting, when every social interaction felt awkward and difficult. How far I had come. All because I learned the simple truth. Real English is simple English. Natural English is everyday English. A few weeks later, I was helping a new international student from Korea. She had just arrived on campus and was feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means stressed by too much at once. She was experiencing the same anxiety I had felt. She said to me in Korean, "How do I survive here? My English is not good enough." I switched to English and said, "Your English is better than you think. You just need to learn the everyday phrases that people actually use." I started teaching her the same phrases I had learned: how to greet people naturally, how to order food simply, how to make plans with friends, how to ask for help when confused. She was taking notes, writing everything down. At one point, she said, "But these seem so simple. Is this really enough?" I smiled and said, "Yes, exactly. They're simple. That's the point. Real English is simple." I told her my shit versus sheet story. I told her about being too formal at the coffee shop. I told her everything I had learned. Over the next few months, I watched her transform. She started using the phrases I taught her. She became more confident. She made friends. She participated in class. She navigated daily life smoothly, just like I had. All because she learned that simple, natural English is the key to everyday success. Teaching her reminded me of an important truth. This knowledge is valuable. These everyday phrases are valuable. They're not just words. They're tools for connection, for communication, for building a life in English. And now you have these tools too. Think about everything you've learned in this episode. Over 100 practical English sentences for everyday situations. Morning greetings, classroom interactions, asking for help, making plans, ordering food, shopping, texting, weekend activities, handling problems, apologizing, thanking, evening conversations, phone calls, all the situations that make up daily English life. You didn't just learn random phrases. You learned the phrases that native speakers actually use, again and again, every single day. You learned the building blocks of natural English conversation. You learned how to sound like a real person, not a textbook. And here's what's beautiful. These phrases work. They've been tested millions of times. They're simple, clear, and effective. You don't need to doubt them. You don't need to make them more complicated. Just use them as they are. "Can I get a coffee?" "Sounds good. No problem. See you later." These phrases work perfectly just as they are. As you go forward, remember these principles. First, simple is powerful. The simplest phrase that communicates clearly is the best phrase. Don't overcomplicate. Don't try to impress. Just communicate. Second, natural is better than perfect. Using a natural phrase with a small grammar mistake is better than using perfect grammar that sounds stiff and formal. Native speakers care about natural flow, not perfect grammar. Third, these phrases are your foundation. Master these everyday phrases first, then build from there. Don't try to learn fancy vocabulary before you've mastered basic communication. Foundation first, decoration later. Fourth, use them. These phrases only become natural through use. Practice them in real situations. Don't wait until you're perfect. Use them now, imperfectly if needed. Through use, they become automatic. Fifth, listen to native speakers. Pay attention to which phrases they use most often. You'll notice the same phrases repeating. These are the phrases that work. Learn from observation. Sixth, be patient with yourself. Changing how you speak takes time. You've spent years learning textbook English. It takes time to shift to natural, everyday English. But every day you practice, you get closer. every phrase you use, you build muscle memory. Be patient and persistent. Now, let me leave you with some affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that reinforce beliefs. Repeat these in your mind, or just let them sink in as you rest. I can communicate clearly in English. I have the phrases I need for everyday situations. My English is good enough. I sound more natural every day. Simple English is powerful English. I am confident in daily conversations. I connect with people through clear communication. My English serves me well. I am improving continuously. I speak English bravely and naturally. These statements are true. You do have the phrases you need. Your English is good enough. You are improving. Believe these truths about yourself. If you're getting ready to sleep, this is perfect. As you sleep, your brain will process everything you've learned. It will organize these phrases, strengthen these memories, prepare these patterns for use. Sleep is a crucial part of learning. So sleep well, knowing your brain is working even as you rest. Tomorrow, when you wake up, you'll remember these phrases. They'll be there when you need them. When you order coffee, "Can I get?" will come naturally. When someone asks how you are, "Pretty good, you?" will flow easily. When you make plans, "Sounds good," will feel automatic. These phrases are part of you now. Use them tomorrow. Use them every day. Watch how they make your English life easier. Notice how people respond positively to your natural communication. Feel your confidence growing. This is your English journey. From textbook to natural. From formal to friendly. From complicated to simple. You're on the right path. Remember my story. Remember how I struggled with overly formal English. Remember how everything changed when I learned simple, everyday phrases. Remember that if I could make this transformation, so can you. You have the same tools I had, the same phrases, the same opportunity. Take it. Use it. Transform your English. These everyday sentences are powerful. They open doors. They build friendships. They make daily life smooth and easy. They give you confidence. They connect you to the English-speaking world. They're not just words. They're keys to communication, to connection, to belonging. You've learned so much today. Morning phrases, greetings, small talk, classroom language, asking for help, directions, making plans, ordering food, shopping, texting, social activities, weekend plans, evening routines, handling problems, apologizing, thanking, phone etiquette. Over 100 practical phrases for real life. Take these phrases with you. Use them in real situations. Make them yours. Let them become natural and automatic. And watch how your English life transforms, how conversations become easier, how relationships deepen, how confidence grows. This is the power of everyday English. As we close this episode, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for being open to a new way of thinking about English. Thank you for believing that simple, natural English is valuable. Your dedication to improvement is inspiring. You're not just learning phrases. You're learning to communicate more effectively. You're learning to connect with people. You're learning to navigate life in English with confidence and ease. This is meaningful work. This matters. Tomorrow, use these phrases. Say, "Morning," to someone. Order your coffee with, "Can I get?" Make plans with, "Want to hang out?" Text a friend, "What's up?" End your day with, "I'm calling it a night." Use these simple, natural phrases and watch how well they work. This is your English. Not textbook English. Not formal English. Real, everyday English. The English that native speakers actually use. The English that works. The English that connects. The English that makes life easier. You have everything you need. The phrases, the understanding, the confidence. Now just use them. Use them bravely. Use them naturally. Use them every single day. Breathe deeply. Relax your body. Let go of any worry or stress. You've done good work today. You've learned valuable things. You're more prepared than you realize. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your mind quiet. Let these phrases settle into your memory. Morning. How's it going? Can I get? Sounds good. No problem. See you later. Simple phrases. Powerful phrases. Your phrases. Sleep well, my friend. Dream peacefully. Wake up ready to speak naturally. Ready to communicate clearly. Ready to connect with others. Ready to use your everyday English. You've got this. You really do. These phrases are yours now. Use them well. Use them often. Use them naturally. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for believing in simple, natural English. Thank you for being here. Rest well. See you in your English conversations tomorrow. You're doing great. Keep going. Keep speaking. Keep connecting. Good day now.